What's up, URL? Guys, if you guys don't know me, I am Henny. I got Crazy Monkey with me and Chapped. I am the owner of URL. Crazy is a director. He does streaming and content for us. And Chapped is our Swiss Army knife. He's just doing everything over here at URL that some of us can't get to. We'd love to have Chapped here. We'd love to have Crazy. If you guys don't know URL, we are a twos and threes league. We have a two server and we also have a three server. Anybody is welcome. We take players of all styles or MMR as you might know it, but when you come into the league, you'll be south somewhere.
We're just gonna put this here because we're gonna fast forward this whole thing because it's a lot of yap and yeah, it's too long. So we're gonna click the fast forward button and enjoy the rest of the video, guys.
Awesome. So, guys, we're going to start off doing our power ranks. As you see on the screen right now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's because we have 10 total teams this year for threes. We are very dominated in, our contender and all-star. So if you guys missed, where those lie, just go back to the beginning of the video. I told you, right? So we like our young solid players, our low MMR players, because we want to see you grow. So come join us over there. But we're going to start with the contenders. And we're going to talk a little bit about these teams. We're going to, talk some of these players and maybe some of the trades that are still happening, even though the season, is underway, but the first week hasn't begun and we already got trades, right? That's pretty freaking cool. So to start off, right, we've got the Bears of Contender. We're looking at Edge, Little Rigger, 22, and Legend RL, right? I know Edge. Edge is a pretty great player, man. I'm pretty sure he was top 10 in twos last season. Rigger himself, I believe he placed either top 10 or he was right there close to being number 1, number 2 for either saves or assists, one of the two. And then Legend, right? Legend's a great player. I don't know if he played too much in the 2 season. But I know a little bit about him, but not too much. So if you guys know anything, about Legend, go ahead and fill us in on Legend here.
I think I could probably pick that up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Legend was actually a player for my Ohio Gorillas team in twos last season.
Okay.
I think he played some games. So he's definitely a very solid player. Very consistent, very adamant about playing well, and he was always there when I needed him, and he knew how to adapt to play styles, which is what I noticed because we had LTR and what's the Sack Attack, Dog Sack Attack.
Yep.
So somewhat similar play styles, but they do deviate in some areas, and Legend was able to kind of adapt to both of them, which was pretty impressive at a contender level for me.
Yeah, man, I Crazy. I definitely appreciate you stepping in there because like I said, I didn't get to pay too much attention. I've seen him play a couple times, but Chapped. How are they fitting salary wise?
I believe that Legend is gonna be moved.
Okay.
And just to add on to the onto the rosters, I have played like a ton of games with Rigger, and he's really good.
Yeah, he
like
definitely is, man.
He's in Contender. Like I was almost positive he was going to be an all-star, because that's like a player I'd look at as like a salary player you could use, and he's going to be very good in Contender this year. But I believe I believe they're going to probably be moving one of those players out and looking to be add to that roster to make sal. I think they're 2.5 over salary right now.
Yeah, that's what I see right now is they're 2.5 over salary. And I know we have to power rank these teams out, but as long as they keep Rigor and Edge, and even if they have to find an 8-5 to go with them, right? I think those are really two solid players that you can lean on, even if you have an 8-5, and really make something happen with that team. You know, they can be a very dynamic team. Edge is very good at, you know, controlling the ball and getting into position. And, you know, for a contender player, you know, we talk about, hey, these are the things that you need to work on if you want to get better. Edge is doing that. You know, he's been working on his position. He's been working on his consistency. And, you know, I can see Edge being a dynamic, especially with Rigor, you know, who's a great player. And like I said, he was in the top 10, I believe. Edge was top 10 in twos, and Rigor was either number 1 in saves or assist, or right there knocking on the door for one of those. So I think this team can be very dynamic as long as they keep those two. And if not, if they go out and find other players, as long as you have Rigor, I think it's going to be a very, very good team. So like me personally with this team, I think I put them right now just because they don't have the full dynamic. They are 2.5 over on Sal. I would say I put them, you know, potentially at a 7 right now. We'll see at the end of after we, you know, start throwing ranks, how we change that. But I think we could put them at a 7-6 until they figure out that overall salary and how to make that team work. What do you guys think?
I had him at 5 only because I'm looking at Edge and I'm looking at Rigor, and I'm thinking in my head, there's got to be a player that fits there, that at least puts them middle of the pack.
Right, like that. I don't think, as long as you keep those two, I don't see them really being, you know, at the bottom, right? Even if you have an 8-5, I just don't see them being at the bottom. But it's going to be hard to be at the top too, because the different makeups of teams are going to be tough. But those two can carry a team to potentially get up there and prove us wrong. Crazy, what's your thoughts?
I think this is a top 5 team. I don't think they're anything less than that. Personally, I know we talked about Edge. He is a 3s champion, so 4 contender.
Right, he is with the Angels. What, our last 3 season?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and he looked really good in that. And we see, and I personally, since I've been keeping up with him, he's improved drastically, and he was a interesting pick for the Yetis last season too. But the man, that kid balled out. I won't even lie. Like, yeah, he went crazy. I think they went to what, top 8, top 4 with Okeanos.
Yeah, no, they did. They did fantastic last 2 seasons. You know,
they lose to the winners. Did the Child win that season? I can't remember.
I believe so. You know, it's been a while. We've been really focused on his 3 season, man. I'd have to pull up the.
They either lost to the winners or to a finalist. So, yeah.
So we've got, you say top 5, Crazy, and then Chap, you have them at 5. I said 6 or 7. You know, just based off salary. I'm very flexible with that because I do agree with you guys. Like this makeup with Rigor and Edge is pretty. I mean, it's pretty freaking amazing. Like, you know, that was some great drafting by Hazard right there, and what is it, Yawa? You know, there's some good drafting by them to at least pick those 2 up. So I'm definitely fine with saying right now we put them at 5, and once we get to the end of all contenders, we can see if we bring them up or not.
I agree.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think 5.
All right, so let's put the Bears at number 5. Bears and Contender number 5. You know, rolling with the Rigor and Edge makeup right there. I'm with it. Our next team then becomes the Hounds. You know, this is you know, Pink Puppy Paws and TJZ. Pink Puppy Paws has been around with us for a while. He knows you know, URL very well. He keeps up with contenders and all-stars really well. Like, he knew how to draft a team. And I think he did a very good job with this team, right? So you got Tony Two Tilted. You got Crazy Leal, I think is how you say his name. And then Keep Fink. And then Pink Puppies is also on that team. And I know Pink Puppy Paws is a really good player. And you add him with Tony Two Tilted. You know, Tony Two Tilted did fantastic last 2 seasons, I believe. And, you know, so if they both play together, that's pretty intense. And then you got Crazy, who's at a 12 Sal, and Keep Fink at a 10. I believe that you can actually have this team start right here with Tony Two Tilted, Crazy, and Keep Fink. They hit our sal cap for in game playing. I think this team's pretty good. I don't know the rest of the teams yet. We haven't gone over them, but I can see this team right here, easily fitting at number 4. What do you guys think?
I don't agree personally. I don't think this is a top 5 team. I don't think so. I think Tony Tutu is good, but I think he lacks a lot of things that the Bears have. So I personally wouldn't have them above the Bears.
So you say he lacks some things the Bears have. Expand on that though. Let us know like what you think that Tony's missing. Just if he watches his video, maybe he can get a little bit of idea, from a higher player like yourself. Like you said, you are GC1 peak. Him being a 10 solid puts him at like diamond 3, low diamond 3 right there. So give him some advice here. What he lacks the Bears have that he doesn't.
From last time I saw 22 Tilted, he's a good player, but to me he lacks, like, I guess, confidence. I think he relies on his teammates to do too much for him, and when he has time on the ball, he just doesn't do much with it. He kind of gives it away, or just kind of backs away and goes back into net, which I think kind of hurts him in the long run.
So you're saying that really like what he needs to improve on is his on-ball play, but not always being overly patient. Like it's okay to be a great patient player in Rocket League. Patience does dominate sometimes, but he needs to work on that on-ball play and in his mental a little bit. You got to be confident. That's a big thing in Rocket League, right? Is your mental is overly huge when it comes to playing Rocket League. Like the moment you start getting tilted, the moment that you're really ruining your team, because it is a team game, and if you don't perform and you don't do what you need to, like that's gonna hurt you, and that's not only gonna hurt you, but it's gonna hurt your team. So he needs to definitely look at that confidence, and I can agree on that, right? From the stream games that they had last season, he does lack some confidence, and so I hope that if he watches this, he hears this, like work that on ball play, and really just be confident in yourself and know that you can play within your team and do what you got to do. So Crazy, where would you put them at?
I think this I haven't seen the other teams, but to me this is okay. I think this is like a solid 7, 8 spot for me.
A 7 or 8 spot, okay. Chapped, what about you, man?
All right, so I remember Pink Puppy Paws specifically in the draft when they drafted. I don't know if you remember this, Crazy. I had seen Tony Two Tilted, and I've seen Crazy. I think he might go by KRZ, but I've never seen Keep Fink.
I have never seen Keep Fink either.
And Paws was so excited to draft Keep Fink that it made me nervous. Like he was so sure of it, and I was like, I've never heard of it, but okay. And he was like, yeah, that's the one.
That's the guy.
So he's the dynamic player, man. He's the here.
That's like the mojo he was giving off. He was kind of, he had that swagger to him when he came in the call.
Okay.
So I've seen Crazy or KRZ play more than anyone. He's definitely a solid player. I don't know if it's going to hold up to the middle of the pack, which there's definitely going to be some meat in this. I would probably put them right around the Bears, probably right around a 6. I don't see this team being very bad or also exceptionally good as it stands.
Yeah, no, too easy, man. So, I'm kind of outnumbered here, right? I figure maybe a 4, but you guys are saying like 7, 8, 6. Why don't we just go with 7, right? Like, Crazy's thinking, back end 8. You're thinking like a 6, like not overly good, but not overly bad. 7's not the worst spot to be. You're at the back of the middle of the pack, but you could prove us wrong and hit the top of the pack pretty easily. So I think we go 7 for now. And then, maybe after we're done, going through all 10, we can sit there and put them at 6.
Okay, I agree with that.
I think that's fair.
Okay, so the Hounds at 7 for Contender. Now we're moving on to our next team, right? This is
before we get to that, Is anyone seen like the hounds, like the background look like a kind of like a Looney Tunes kind of swirl?
Yeah, dude,
You
it
guys
looks
see
like
that?
the Looney Tunes from with Porky the Pig. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Yeah, see that?
Oh,
That's all I see
that
when I
that
see the
that's all,
hounds.
folks.
yeah, you know. No, you're not the only one that thought that, crazy. I definitely did too, but I like it. I like it.
I
It's
like
cool.
it.
You know, it
Yeah.
brings back some nostalgia. You know, for some of us older people.
Oh gosh, don't remind me.
So our next team, right, is the Rhinos, the United Noob League Rhinos, right? You know, these guys are coming from our Noob League. We created the Noob League last season. It probably wasn't our best idea, but we tried, right? We tried. We took a shot in the dark. Some teams worked out, some teams didn't, and we moved the Rhinos up to the main roster, right? So that's pretty cool. Taking a team that was on the Noob League, moving them up to the main roster. Yeah, I think the Rhinos look pretty ba, man. That white background with the kind of that pinkish purple Rhino, bro. I think it's pretty sick. The GM of this team is Kryptonic and the AGM DW43. I look at this team, man, at contenders, and I'm like, Amber 240. I feel like I've seen Amber. I don't know the individual too well, but that's a 10 sal. And then you've got Mr. Dapper at a 10 sal. Or Amber's a 12 sal, my bad. And you got Mr. Dapper at a 10 sal, and you got Xerxes, I think is how you say his name, or Xerxes.
I just call him Sussy, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty hard name, but they are 0.5 over on Sal, so they have to make a switch here. You know, they got to do something, but I just don't know too much. I really do feel like these are three players that may be new to the league. I haven't seen them previously in any other season. Crazy, do you know anything about them, or Chab? Do you know that one of you guys know?
Chap, do you know anything? Because I know some things.
Yes. So,
Go
Amber and I think Xerxes. I think they're both newer to the league. I think Xerxes had been here before, and then it came back. But I know Amber's brand new to the league.
Yeah.
I believe they're Nerd Herd Dream.
Yeah,
I've
that's
seen
it.
them play in another league, and they were good. But I didn't really get, the full treatment. I didn't get the full. There wasn't like a. I didn't get a good grasp on it.
Okay. Me personally, I don't know who Mr. Dapper is. I have not watched him. I have no clue anything. I'll start with Sussy because I have less to say about him. Sussy's an interesting player because he plays good sometimes. He plays up to par, and then sometimes he plays not great. I was gonna say something mean, not great. So that's where Sergio Sussy confuses me, and I don't know. Sometimes his decisions are questionable. I see a lot of backflips from him, and that kind of scares me of his inconsistency. But besides that, he's not a bad player. But for Amber, Nerdherd, new player, he actually looked really good in the combines, which as a 12 style he should, but he looked really good in the combines. But what I like about him is that he wants to be on the team. Like, that man wants it. The last time I saw someone want it that bad was Cool Kid in season 1 of Threes, and we know how that ended up going. Like, that kid, I think he went to literally every GM and DM and put me on the team, put me on the team, put me on the team. Like, he wants it, and for that, I rate them just a tiny bit higher. That's all I got.
Okay, so honestly, I just, like I said, I don't know these individuals too much. From what you guys are saying, is that, for me, I'm looking at this as like no hurt or shame towards this team, but I'm looking at them at being the bottom three, just because I don't know enough about them. I don't know what they can do as a team. They're definitely coming into this with no chemistry. So like I personally don't want to put them at the top or even in the top 6 just yet, just because I know there's other teams that have different players that we can potentially rank higher than. Not to say that they can't make a huge splash in URL, but I definitely see them maybe like putting them at 10 for now, just because I don't know much about them, and then we can talk about that when we get to finalizing our top 10. What do you guys think?
I think that's pretty fair. I had them around the 9 in my head.
Okay. What about you, Crazy?
See, that's hard for me to say because I have seen them. I think they're great. I think, yeah, at some point they're going to be 6, maybe higher. And I think Nurture is going to be a top 10, 12 player in the league. But I don't know. I don't know how this team is going to mess up. I was kind of thinking like a 9-ish as well.
Okay, so let's go ahead, but let's put them at 9, right? Because they still are over on salary.
Yep.
You know, so like they have to make a change, and wondering who they're going to change is the tough part, because Mr. Dapper, you know, he is a 10, but if you keep Amber and as you call him, Sussy, if you keep them, then you need a 9.5 or lower, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm definitely fine with putting them at a 9, just because, like, you know, they have to make some changes, and I don't know too much about them. It's not like the Bears where you can just go pick an 8.5 up and know that the Bears are still going to probably be a, you know, a top 5 team. You know, and more than likely they might actually, I see the Bears, you know, going up to 3 potentially. I don't know if they'll make, you know, top 1 or 2, but I can definitely see a third spot for the Bears. So I see a lot of improvement from the Bears, and I see a higher ceiling than I do with the Rhinos right now. But that might change, you know, over the next couple weeks as we get more into the season and see how things perform. So I'm definitely fine with hitting the Rhinos at 9. Let's move on to our next team here. The Phantoms, man. Another team coming up from the Noob League. A lot of our teams are actually coming up from the Noob League, which is pretty cool, right? Because what we did is we switched a lot of teams from our 3s and made them 2s teams, so we can have more teams, because, you know, people love 2s. Like, there's not many leagues out there that do a 2v2 season, and that's where we make our you know, our money is in the 2s. Like, we love our 2s. We're still, you know, working our tweaks out in the 3s, but to be able to move up some of these teams from the Noob League and really get them, you know, really fitted into the main roster, I just love to see it. And like I said, we've been around for 4 years, so when teams move up, that means they've done well in the past, and, you know, it's great for them. It's great for the GMs. So here we have Ducks, and we got LTR as the AGM. We don't know about LTR, right? You know, we just heard that he is on the trading block. So as an AGM, he might be moved. So it might just stick with Ducks if LTR is on the trading block. But right now, we have LTR, we have Hive and Essence, right? At 10-5 and 11-11. LTR best player in 2s last season, hands down. You know, we gave out our awards, MVP of 2s last season. Hive, I don't know Hive too much, but I actually just had Essence play in our tryout. We were looking for a 10-5 Sal. I just had Essence play in our tryout, and, you know, he's not bad, right? Essence didn't really show me the craziest mechanics, but he was there to challenge the ball when need be. He was willing to you know force a touch on the ball, especially against some higher players, right? I mean, so that's a bonus right there. If you got a guy that knows, hey, I need to force this touch on a guy who's like, you know, high C3 GC like Ebby, that's pretty impressive for an 11 Sal. So Essence, not the most mechanical guy, but he finds himself in the right position every now and then. And he definitely has some kind of understanding on how to force and get his teammates open with a free ball. So they still have a 10-5 that they can fit on this team and a reserve. If they do keep LTR, right, I think this team's pretty powerful, even without knowing much about Hive. But you have an 11 Sal, and 11 Sal, and a 10-5. That's not a bad makeup there. So I look at this team just because LTR, right? LTR being the guy in 2s. If they keep LTR, I put this team right now at 4, and that 4 is very much so based off the fact that LTR is on the trading block. What do you guys think?
I think that it is. Oops. Yeah, I mean, I think LTR, again, best player in 2s last season, played amazing, great player, has everything you need in a contender. So that's a good player. I have no idea who Hive is. I have no clue. I think Essence is a really good player. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. I didn't really see much mechanical skill from him. Not sure if he has or not, but I did see like great decision making, great passing from him in the combines. So he looked very great there in the combines, especially towards like the later end. He looked really good. Um, so for me personally, this team is number 3. But yeah, I guess if LTR leaves, I don't know where I would put them honestly. But
Yeah, man. If LTR leaves, I think I put him down at like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Because LTR does make this team, especially from his last season in twos, he makes his team a top team. So I honestly, wherever LTR goes, that team, in my opinion, is top 3.
Yeah, top 3, top 4. Depends on
So like if LTR was to stay, I give them a top 3, right?
Yeah.
But because he's on the trading block, I'm fine with putting them at 4 for right now. Chapped, what about you, man? What's your opinion on this?
I'm gonna be a broken record here. But yeah, I think, I mean, based off LTR last season and twos, I remember being an all-star, but at least seeing some of the screenshots from those contender games, he was just a dog. I have seen Essence and Hive play. Hive is a really good player. I've definitely seen Hive more than Essence. If this roster was salariable, this would be a number 1, like no question. I don't think I could put them at number 1 because it really depends on if you're playing Hive or Essence. Like I said, I've seen Hive, he's a good player. I haven't seen as much of Essence, but again, he played well when he was there. If they can find a solid third, I think they're a definite like number 1. But right now, I'd probably put him at number 2.
Okay, so we've got me and Crazy saying, right now LTR on the trading blocks as of 4. Would you say because in the chapter I'm talking to you here, would you say because he's on the trading blocks, would you be fine with putting them at a 4? Because I said, I definitely agree. If LTR stays, this is a top 3 team no matter what. But if LTR is on the trading blocks, the best I can give them is a 4 because I just don't know how they're going to respond without LTR.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, I just bring it back to like, I love hockey. It's like if you trade one of the really good hockey players, it's like, what is the haul they're gonna get back? So that would be a hard trade to pull off.
Right. But I'm gonna save that trade idea right there for the next team.
I'm with.
But
I think we
what do you guys say?
I think we put them at 3. Just since
3. So
I think it's
because
fair.
they have LTR right now,
Yeah,
we can put them at 3. Yeah, let's do it then. Let's put them at 3. Like this is a definitely Phantom's looking really good. If LTR stays, easily top 3. If he goes, yeah, maybe they fall down to a 6 or 7 spot. But if you could keep Hive and Essence on the same team, I definitely do think that they still managed to crack the top 5, and I really think that's more so the 5 or 4, right? So I don't think this team really falls out the top 5 even without LTR. The Ducks did a very good job at putting together this team to be able to make them very flexible, even if they pick somebody else up. So our next team, my favorite team, the Cyclones, again moving up from the noob league. We love to see it. This is Ryan Gav, right? Ryan Gav has a very, very good track record of winning teams, being a winning player himself. So he knows what to look for when he's drafting teams. And he drafted a really good contender team. And then he decided, hey, that contender team that I drafted was not, it wasn't exactly what I wanted. And so he went out and found different players to kind of fit into his mold of what he wants to see. He pays a lot of attention to players, of all salaries, all different leagues that we have within URL. So I'm excited to see. And yes, I am part of this team, right? I am our highest sal on this contender team at a 12 sal. Right now we're 3.5 sal over. We have Trippy, Sleepy, Down, and Cool Man. We do have some moves to make, and Rye knows exactly what to do there. But based off of what we have, there's multiple lineups we can go with on this team. I think I don't know about you, Chapped, if you've seen Cool Man too much, but me and Crazy have got to see Cool Man quite often. He's been around the league for a while. Sleepy, Again, Chad, I don't know if you've seen Sleepy too much, but me and Crazy definitely know some about Sleepy and Trippy, right? Trippy being a great player, and he is only improving. Trippy's only improving. We just played with Trippy, and I am shocked at how well he's improving as a player. It's awesome to see as an owner of a league. And then you got me, right? I'm biased as hell. I am definitely the best player in the Contender League, but if I didn't say that, then I'd look weak, and I'm not a weak person. Um, Depending on how this works, and we talked about the trading block with LTR, right? Rye, get me LTR. Put him on the team. If you give me LTR and Cool Man, I'm sorry, but we're a number one team. If we get LTR, we're a number one team. Now, I definitely think, even if me and Cool Man play together, we get a 10-5. I'm confident that I could lead this team to being a top 3 team. But honestly, guys, like I can't put biased into here. So I'm going to let you guys take over on the rank for the Cyclones, because if I do, I'm going to go number 1, right? You got to. So you guys go ahead and you finish this out and how you guys see the Cyclones and where they stack up to. So Crazy, go ahead, start us off.
All right. We heard a lot of yap from Henny. He's on the team. I don't know if that one. I don't know if you can take his word for it. He said that about every one of his rosters. I don't want to hear it.
Hey, look, I've put together a lot of good rosters. Maybe just because I don't have championships doesn't mean I haven't put together really good rosters.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But I mean, you guys have a lot of players, by the way. You guys have every player's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I haven't seen Trippy play much. I heard he's good. That's all I know about him. Sleepy, I have watched a quite decent amount. I do agree he's pretty good. Doesn't really stand out to me too much, but he's consistent. That's all you need.
He's mechanical as a player, for an 11 style. He's pretty mechanical. I'd have to go against you on the consistency. Sleepy's consistency is actually pretty bad, and I think that's what keeps him at an 11 style, is that he's hot or cold. There's no in between. There's no like, if Sleepy's cold, it's going to be hard for that team to win. But if he's hot, you're not losing. And I think that's his biggest downfall, and that's what's going to hurt us if we run a lineup with Sleepy in it. And then Sleepy, again, no hit to you, but that is something, because I play with him quite often. That's something I see.
Yeah, I mean, I usually just watch him when I'm casting. He looks like he hits the ball when he needs to, but yeah, I do agree with you on the mechanical part. I'll give him that. He's a little bit more mechanical than the rest of his peers. I don't know who Down is. Who is Down? Does he have a?
I'm not too sure who Down is. Chap may know more about Down, but he is a 12 style, so that's really where we're getting hit right there, is having 2 12 styles. So Rye has to do something. He's either gonna have to get rid of me or get rid of Down. I don't know what he's gonna do, but
no clue who Down is. And then Drip is Cool Man.
That is Cool Man. Yep.
Cool Man. Was he on my roster last season? He might have been. He's a good player. He's a top contender player in my opinion.
I agree.
I think now he's definitely consistent.
Very much so.
I think he's more of a third man kind of role. I don't see him pushing the offense as much, but I don't know. He might have changed over the seasons.
We're gonna change him. I promise you, Crazy. I'm gonna get him right.
Okay, I gotta see it. I think his third man is good. I don't see much offense for him, so no, not bad, not great. And Henny, I think I have the most experience with, since I won't be winning him a lot. A lot of mechanics, a lot of mistakes. I see a lot of mistakes. But good player, knows the game in and out. Can't hit the ball, at least sometimes. Actually, I don't know about that one. He might miss a couple balls here and there. I've seen him backflip a couple times. He scares me sometimes. But is he a threat to all these teams? Yes, he's a threat. He is a top. I don't know if I'll give him number 1 yet, but I'll give him top 3 for now. I have to see him on the pitch. So for me, I think this team is like at 8. No, I'm kidding. I'm fine with giving them 1. I'm fine with giving them 1 or 2, 1 or 2.
All right, cool. So we got 1 or 2 for my Cyclones chat. What do you say?
Okay, so I have played a bunch with Sleepy, and Sleepy's a very good player. I think you were spot on with the consistency thing. I've seen Sleepy go crazy in games, and then I've seen him kind of disappear. Trippy I played with last 2 season when we went to the finals, and we lost to your GM for like the 14th time in a row. And Trippy's a good player. We did a lot of scrims, and whenever Trippy went in, the games were usually closer, but he always held his own weight. As far as Down, I think Down was an all-star last season. That might be why we don't remember in Contender. But I definitely can't rank them a 2 because there's no way this team can play.
Ooh.
I can't even count them a 1. This has to be like 4.
Ooh. Ooh.
I don't see a way any roster works here. There's no physical way you can field the team right now. So, based on the changes that this roster is going to go through, you can't put this in the top 3. I think I'm almost positive, and Henny might disagree. I'm almost positive that roster will look drastically different come their first game.
So again, I'm not gonna rank myself here, but to give you some context, right? To give you some context, we are if I rank myself, right? You got me and Cool Man. We spoke on Cool Man. And, Crazy, you spoke on him, right? Great third man position, right? He plays a great third man for a 9.5. He's way better than a 9.5, right? So like that's an advantage I feel like I get, as their number 1 guy, right? I have a really good 9.5 that I know is going to have my back. Now our 10.5, right? That's what we need to be able to play me and Cool Man. We need a 10.5. Yeah, we definitely need to find one. We're in search for one. But I feel like, you give me a half decent 10.5 and Cool Man, I feel like I could do a lot with that, right? It's a lot of work that I could put in. We could go over replays, we could get a coach too easy, right? But like I said, LTR is on the trading blocks and he is a 10.5. So this roster might look different, but we add in LTR. That's scary. That's a scary sight right there for the Contenders, right? You're taking the best player from the 2 season, and then crazy said it, not me. It's not coming out of my mouth, but Crazy says it's a top 3 player in me, right? So you take the top 3 player that Crazy sees, you add him with the best player from last 2 seasons with a third man like Cool Man. It's hard to argue that this we wouldn't be ranked preseason wise number 1, but that is with the idea that we potentially get LTR. If not, right, I take a back seat. I'd have to take a back seat here, and I believe we can field a team with Trippy, Sleepy, and Cool Man, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a fieldable roster.
Right, and so if we were to field that roster without me, with Trippy, Sleepy, and Cool Man, I still think that's scary, and that one I can talk about and sit there and say that's still a top 3 team, because if Sleepy is on, like you said, he is one of the best players in Contender. When he's off, he is one of the worst players in Contender. But Trippy is consistent and Trippy is mechanical. He slows the game down, and I saw that tonight during our tryouts. And then Cool Man, as a 3. So I think, if you were to base it off just that roster, take me and Down out of the situation, don't even think about LTR, based off of an 11.5 with Trippy, an 11.5 with Sleepy, and a 9.5 with Cool Man, where do you guys see this Contender team?
4.
4.
4? Let's put them there.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do some rearranging maybe, and we might move that 4 higher and that 3 higher. But yeah, I'll put my 4 for now.
I'm telling you, you give me LTR and Cool Man, we are definitely number 1.
If I played in Contender, I'd be pretty good too.
You know what? Me and Chap put us on the roster in Contender. Give me number 1.
We can have all the what ifs you want, Hen.
Hey, but you gotta agree though. If LTR does come over there with me and Cool Man,
if you get LTR next time we do another one of these, you can have that 1 spot.
Yes, right? I agree.
Hey, like I said, I'm not arguing it. I'm just future scenarios. LTR, you better come over here. Ducks, make the damn trade happen. Ride, do something. Get me the player I want to play with me.
But yeah, I'm fine with 4 right now.
And I'm fine with that too, right? Even being on the team, realistically, we do have a lot to figure out. As a team, because we do have so many good players on that team, but how are they going to be arranged? And honestly, if Sleepy was more consistent, I think that's where you would be able to take this team and move them up into a 3-2 or 1 position. But because Sleepy's inconsistency, even as a teammate of his, like that does scare me sometimes. Where I'm like, Sleepy's like either hot or cold. Like there's no night. It's night and day difference. I definitely agree. A 4 is fantastic for this team, and there's just a lot of potential between the Phantoms, the Bears, and the Cyclones all over the place here. But our next team, we move down to, another team coming from the United Noob League. And as I'm looking at it, they're all United Noob League. So we're really moving our teams up here. Henny, pay more attention to your teams, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I used to be part of the Rhythm before they actually went down to the United Noob League. That was my team. That was the first team I ever played on when I got into URL.
That logo is
it's the best.
Beautiful.
I know.
It's the best
so
logo.
beautiful.
I know. I love the Rhythm, logo. If I had to be a GM, it would have been of the Rhythm. I would have went back and I would have stuck with my Rhythm team. But we're talking about the Armada. We're talking about the shipmates, right? The Armada shipmates. Bomb, one of our directors. I love Bomb. Bomb's great, director of mods. And then you got Square of Pegasus, another fantastic player, right? I've played with Square pretty often. I actually wanted Square on my team when I was building the Elk. I was trying to get Square out there, but he wouldn't switch ships. Kind of little pun intended right there. Thanks, chat. Thanks.
I got your back.
But we got Bomb, as the GM, Square as the AGM. The Armada, the shipmates. They're gonna go crazy. I really like this team right here. I am not gonna lie. I really, really dig this team. When I saw it, I was like, this is a problem. Not one of them are a 12, but this team is going to cause problems. It's made with Flashy 1425, Hash Ketchum, and Mr. Hitman Slim, right? That's an 11-5, a 10-5, and a 9-5. Guys, I've seen Flashy play. I know how good Flashy can be. Again, maybe a little inconsistent, and but that's expected out of contenders. I wouldn't say as inconsistent as Sleepy, but he's around that area. Like he turns it on, he's great. He's not playing well, he's not playing well at all. And then you got Hash Ketchum. Hash, very patient player. Uses his mind more than anything. He's not the most mechanical guy out there. And I know we're talking contender, right? Not everyone's mechanical. There's like really your top 3, top 5 contenders are going to be your most mechanical ones. But Hash is very smart. On the ball, he can make some things happen. But he plays a very good defensive role into a counterattack role. And that's what I like to see from Hash is he likes to push the ball when he knows that it's time to score here. And then you got Hitman Slim, right? Hitman, I think he was picked up in the 2 season a little bit late, but he made a splash. And, as a 9-5, he's doing pretty fantastic. So that's awesome to see from Hitman. I would have to say with this team, just from what I know of them, and I'll let you, Crazy, and chat, maybe go more in depth on them. Man, I'm looking at 3, 4, and 5, and I'm like, we got teams there. There's no way this team is a 6-Sal, in my opinion. And the only other 2 that we can have is 2 and 1. So if I have to give it to them right now, man, I'm giving them number 2. I'm going to reserve the number 1 spot for the next 4 teams to see what they look like, but I'm giving this team number 2 just because we've already got 3, 4, and 5 filled out. Unless you guys think we change a different team or move some teams up to fit them in. But I just, they're a top 5 team no matter what.
I think we work with what we have open now, and at the end we switched around.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So Crazy, go some in depth on some of them if you've seen them play or anything, and then where would you put them?
I think I've seen all of these guys play. So I think Flashy and Hash have been on teams more than once. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
3s. I think Slim might have joined him at one time. I'm not sure exactly. I'm not too sure that he's been in a 3 team with them. But Flashy and Hash 100% have been on teams. Flashy's fast. I like him. He's aggressive. He's good. Hash, again, everything Henny said. Good player. Defense is pretty good. I don't like playing against him sometimes because his defense is too good. Yeah. The only thing about Hash is that his mechanics, and I've talked to the guy a bit, so I don't care. I don't think he cares what I say. His mechanics are horrible. Okay. Maybe that's a bit too harsh. They're not great. They're not great. He looks like
They're like a 4 out of 10.
he doesn't
Like a
look-
4 out
yeah,
of 10. What you expect from a contender?
he looks like he doesn't really have full control of his car until he's on defense, and I don't know how he does it, but his saves are great. But he's definitely smart. He knows when to go for the ball. He knows when his team is in trouble. He needs to do something, and he goes ahead, even if he's just jumping at the ball, getting a demo or something. He's definitely good at that. So even though he doesn't look the best on the field, he does a lot for his team. And Hitman at 9.5 is, man, that's a crazy good player for that style. Like
I agree.
I don't think there's a better player in that style range. So yeah, I think good addition. I think all 3 of these guys are solid.
There's only one player that I think's better than Hitman at a 9.5, and that's definitely Cool Man. But definitely for like a 9 to 9.5, Hitman's number 2. Like I think Cool Man just tops him a little bit, but for a 9.5, bro, that's insane to have Hitman there.
Yeah.
So where do you put them? Because I mean, what you just said sounds top 5 to me.
Yeah. See, me personally, I would put them like somewhere where we don't have open. So yeah, I think 6 is a little bit too harsh. I'll agree with you on 2, but I don't think that 2. If that makes sense.
I'd say definitely top 5. 2 by the end of the time that we're done here. I don't know if they're sticking at 2, but I would agree with you on the 2 spot right now. Chap, what's your opinion here?
So I have seen Hitman Slim play, and I agree with both of your assessments as far as a 9.5 not playing like a 9.5. I haven't seen Hash very much, but Flashy was on the Immortal team, the esports team. I think it was their Champ 1, Champ 2 team before it got bumped up. And I had seen Flashy play, and that is definitely a player that can pop off anytime as far as mechanics go. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, again, like we were talking about with Sleepy, with consistency, right? But sometimes it just doesn't matter. Like, it's week to week. When it's Sunday, like any given Sunday, he could win a match by himself. I definitely agree with the top 5. I think they're definitely going to be right on that brink. I think 6 is too harsh, but I'd probably go 2.
For now, I
Just
think Yeah, I think for now we definitely take him at 2, and I definitely agree. You know, I love playing with Flash when I can. His mechanics are pretty on point. I mean, his ground game is one of the best ground games that you'll see in Contender. So if you let him on the ground with ball control, like you're getting scored on, right? And he's very good at challenging. So, kudos to Bomb putting this team together. Like, fantastic team. Top 2 it is. You know, that's where we're gonna put him for now.
Yep. I think Bomb came into us like, I don't have any picks, but Contender, this is the team I want. Make sure you get them.
Exactly how it went.
Okay. So, if you don't have everything out, but you got your Contender figured out, hey, at least he's gunning for some dubs here, and he's trying to get some prize money for this team. But our next team is the Empire, man. You know, these are your kings, man. This is supposed to be the kings of URL here. You know, they wear the crown. We'll see if they can hold that crown. This is your Okeanos GM. Oki's always been a pretty fantastic GM for us. Very, very into URL. Has done a lot of great things. And then you got the AGM here at Crazy Monkey, right? Another guy. I know he's on the stream with us. I'll talk Crazy up all the time. You know, I've loved having Crazy as a director, as a friend. And then not only just that, but what he does with building teams is also fantastic. He watches, as the guy that streams, right? You get to see all these players play, and he keeps an eye out, season to season. If there's a guy that pops off in a season, he's like the first one. Boom, I know that's a guy I'm getting. Yeah, I mean, with your GM like Oki and an AGM like Crazy on the same team, I just imagine that all these teams are going to fill out and be some top 5 teams no matter what. So we got Kevin Juarez and 4651. And then you got Tall 2806, which that's a great player to pick up right there, Tall. I actually think I play Tall in 6-mans quite often. And then you got, I think it's Veltev.
Elite. Or
Elite.
just elite. Elite's fine.
Elite. Okay. Awesome. So we got 11-5 and 11 and 10-5. We are 1 over on salary. So, there's going to be a little shake up here. But Crazy, I'm not going to talk about this team. I want you to talk about them. And then, Chap and I are going to listen. Chap, you give your opinion and then we'll just rank them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give props more to Oki since he is the one that made all these teams. I, give him a little bit of help, but most of the thing was him, and I agree with most of them. I haven't seen Kevin play that much. I know he's good. I know he's aggressive, but that's all about I know from him. Tall, he came to the combines. We've seen him play. Great player. I think he's a top contender player every season. So I really like him. And in the combines, he looked really good. And then Elite, man, I'm gonna have that man now. Elite's kind of crazy with it. I'm not gonna lie. He's not the best contender player ever, but he's good. You know what I'm saying? I like him. He has a good mentality. He has a winner. He has a winner's mentality. He has pretty much a little bit of everything, and I like him. I like him a lot. He was in my Gorillas team, so I like how he
awesome.
plays.
So like I said with the Cyclones, right? I couldn't give it a true biased opinion and actually make a certain statement in where we rank up because I'm on that team. But as a an AGM to this team, I kind of want you to do the same thing, but I want to hear where you would put them on this, even if it is biased or not. Where would you stack this contender team up with that -1 sal as well?
Well, knowing what's happening with the roster, obviously there's going to be a change. I know who Oki's bringing on. He's bringing on some friend that he knows from another league. He's a good player from what I've heard, but I haven't really seen him play. But with the roster we have now, I'm not going to say they're number 1 because I don't want to curse them or anything. I think they're capable of getting there at some point, or at least giving a fight to the number 1 team. But if we're going non-biased, I would put them top 5 towards the lower end currently. I have to see how they play together. I'm not going to put them top 1 right now because I'm not going to curse even if it is temporary until we go fix. So I'm going to give them 6 just to not be biased or nothing. Not to put pressure on them or nothing. I'll give them 6.
Okay. Awesome. Chad, what's your opinions?
Alrighty. So I have seen Kevin play. Kevin's a really good player. I like how you said aggressive, Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was spot on.
Oh, okay.
No, I think that was spot on.
I thought he was pretty aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. I've played with Tall a bunch. I think he's a very solid player. I've never played with V-Elite. I am not really sure about this one because, like I said, I've seen Kevin play and I've played with Tall. I don't know how that's going to work, especially never seeing V-Elite. I think I know who you're talking about, Crazy, as far as the probable addition, and I've seen them play as well. But I don't see this being. If anything, you would be looking at that middle of the pack range, like that 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6. I would have to agree with Crazy here and put him at a 6.
Yeah, so again, like I said, I've only really played with Tall. I believe I played with him in 6-mans, and I could be wrong. It could be a different Tall, but if it's the same Tall, I like what he does. He has some mechanics every now and then. So yeah, I would have to say I can't give him number 1 just yet, but I would say, I wouldn't say 6 either. But just because it is a -1 and, there is no way that you can actually make a team up. And I know we talked about the Cyclones, right? Like the Cyclones have too many people, but you can still make a team up within what they have and they would still be a top 5 team. So I'm definitely comfortable agreeing, even with Crazy and with you, chat, that is 6 here, depending on what happens. Maybe next week it changes. because the guy that Oki's bringing in is going to be an RFA for at least 1 week. So I agree. 6 here for the Empire. Right now, not looking like the Kings a contender like they should be, but that's all right. We'll see where they place next week. Now we're moving on to the Hunters, right? Yeah, these guys, they're doing their recon. They're looking at other teams and they're ready. They're ready to strike when they need to. Staying quiet, and they want to make a splash, right? They got 4 people on this team. They hit Sal. It's looking nice. We got our GM with Stabur and Mr. Florida. Honestly, like these are new GMs. So I don't know much about how they put together teams. I don't know much about their mindset here. I'm still learning these guys being GMs in this league. I got to get to know my GMs as well. So I'm not. This team that they got here looks good, right? It looks like just the makeup of Sal's looks good, but it's a little hard for me to talk on them because I just don't know them too much. You got Mr. Florida 21 out of 12 Sal. You got Silent 55 98 out of 10 Sal. What is it? Vizion 4635 as a 10, and then Big Cummins 03 as an 8-5. Just to be able to fill a team out with 4 people and not go over at all, that's pretty freaking awesome. I don't think we've actually seen that. I'm looking back at all of the contender teams right here. We've only seen that from one other team, and that's the Hounds, right? And we got them at 7, but we have our reasons for that. This team right here, and I'm gonna look forward real quick because we're getting to that one spot, right? And we're gonna have to make a decision here. We've got 3 teams left. We got 3 teams left, right? And I'm looking over. Man, I'm looking at these teams and I think I see my number 1 spot.
Yeah.
Right now.
I hope we have the same one. I think we do, to be sure.
Yeah, I think so. So with this team, Mr. Floor, like I said, I can't just speak on these guys. I know Cummins has been here for a couple seasons, I believe. I do believe
definitely.
Cummins. I believe he played in our noob league last season. So I've got to see. I think I've seen Cummins once or twice, but the other ones I just really don't know. Based off of what we have left, we've got to throw them somewhere, and I can't throw them. I can't throw them in the first spot, and I can't throw them in the 8th because the next 2 teams, one of them have to go in the 8th spot, and I think I'm doing them dirty by putting them in the 8th spot. So I have to go with 10 here. I have to put this team at 10. Even though I think they're probably going to be better than that, I'm going to say 10 for right now because the next 2 teams deserve, higher than 7 for sure. Even though I think this team probably deserves a higher than 7. But they're going to have to go 10. What do you think, Crazy?
Honestly, I think these next 2 teams, either of them could have been 10 because I have no clue who most of these players are. I think I've seen Florida play like once or twice and he looked okay. Nothing outstanding, but okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think out of these 2 teams, I don't know neither of them, but I know one player from each at least. So yeah, I think someone has to go 10. I think unfortunately this team has to go 10. But again,
for now though, because we do have some working around here.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chap?
So I've played with their GM Steb a bunch through the URL esports team. I definitely think Steb's cooking here because I was looking at their rosters in total. Like, not to jump ahead, but they picked a couple of players that really haven't been around or maybe haven't played in URL, but they've been finding them somewhere because there's a lot of new names on this list for them. So that kind of always, raises an eyebrow. I have seen Florida play. I've played with Florida. They're definitely on the high side of that 12 sal range as far as like all around skill level.
Okay.
I don't think this team is number 10 at all. I would put them closer to 7. I have 8 open, so I would probably put them at 8.
Okay. Man, that makes it tough.
I know.
I think here, I I think here, man, it's tough for me to look at this just because the next two teams, right? We are going to do some switching around here. I think we have to.
Yes.
I definitely think, right now, just because Crazy and I both say 10, I
I'm
think
fine
we
with that.
lean that way right now.
Yep.
But we'll
What
switch
can
this
go?
around a little bit.
Yeah.
So Hunter's at 10. And the reason why I say that, it's hard for me to put Hunter's at 8 right now, or even 1, is because these next two teams. And we're gonna start with the Rhythm, right? We all just talked about how much we love the Rhythm logo, like fucking fantastic.
Number one logo in the league.
Facts, right? A little kudos there. But they got Chef, right? Chef has been a consistent GM for us for a while now. Chef is fantastic. I love Chef. He's one of my guys on here. A good friend that I've made actually through URL. So that's not playing. I'm taking all biased out right there, with Chef being GM, and he's also on this Contender team. But then their AGM, Ebby Webby, right? I love Eb. Eb was actually, I met him through the twos last year with Chef's team then. And Eb is fantastic, right? He's cracked for an all-star. So I can't wait to just kind of get into their all-star team. But just a fantastic AGM and a GM, and one of the better GMs that we've had at URL is Chef. And so he takes into account all these players. He watches nonstop, and he really enjoys URL and putting together winning teams. And I think he's done it again. And sadly, I have to put this team at 8 because I'm looking at the next team. And I'm like, man, that team, out of the 2 spots we have open, I think they're better than this team right here. But I can't put these guys at 8 at the same time. So I'm going to say they are 8. But you've got Chef at 12, Sal. You've got Peak at an 11, Sal. You got Triton as a 9. And the last Tesla's an 8-5, right? Not over 4 people. They did the same things the last team. Filled out a good roster. No way they are actually an 8 Sal, but that's what we have open. Chef, fantastic player. He's not the most mechanical, but Chef knows how to get into a play and keep a play going. Pika, I've watched Pika grow from, being like a silver, and now he's on Champ 1 door, right? And he's growing mechanically. He's still not the most mechanical, but I think where this team really beats a lot of other teams is the chemistry. Chef and Pika have played together for multiple seasons now. And I think that's going to allow them to actually show out. They are missing their teammate in Voidkill. He has moved up to All-Star, or that would be, our Contender team, and I would be putting them at number 1 right now. But I am going to put them at 8, but I will have some movement there. Crazy, Chapped, if you guys got any, disagreements or, anything you want to speak on these guys, because I could speak on them for another 30 minutes, but we got 2 other leagues to go on. So I'm gonna, give the floor to you guys.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because I don't know much about these guys. I saw Pikachu play like once or twice as well. I think his offense is great. I think his mechanics are pretty good. Not top tier, but they're solid. And yeah, I think I have to put them at 8. Just looking at the other team, for now, I'm fine with keeping them at 8. Chap.
This is the first team I have never seen a single player play on. I've never even seen Chef play. So yeah, I trust you guys.
Awesome. I mean, that's easy, right? I was actually kind of expecting me and Crazy to talk about 8, and you're gonna be like, no, dude, there's no way they number 1 for sure.
Right now.
Right, so that makes it easy. I mean, too easy. And like I said, man, these are guys that I've played with quite a bit. I do have a good friendship with them, and they are just good players in general. So I'm really excited to see, the makeup they do here, because are they going to play Chef, Pika, and Tesla? If they do, I do think that they're going to move up. I think they're a top 5 team in that makeup. And, it's kind of crazy now that we're looking at these teams, and we're like, man, these are a top 5 team. These are a top 5 team. I mean, there can only be 1 per number, right?
Yeah.
The switcheroo that's coming up here is going to be insane. So now we go on to the Vikings, right? we talk about Vikings and you've got AIDS and Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero's drafted some really good teams. And I mean, just looking overall, Sub-Zero's got some really good teams, for Contender, All-Star, and Ultimate. I don't know too much about AIDS, right? But Sub-Zero, I know he's helping this team and he's leading this team to having good makeups. They've all hit Sal, and I'm excited to see what they do. So kudos to you, Sub-Zero, for drafting, all around. Fantastic if you did play a part in there. If not AIDS, you as well, congratulations. Like this is awesome to see, as an owner of URL, just how much our AGMs and GMs are actually caring about their teams. I love it. But let's talk about this team, man. You got my pretty sure that's my fellow owner right there in Sloth, right?
Yes.
So we've got Sloth, my fellow owner, my partner there. I honestly have never actually played with Sloth. I maybe once or twice, but I couldn't remember how Sloth plays. Or Nova, as some of you guys might know. But so I can't speak on Sloth, even though Sloth is a 12 Sal. I just can't speak on Sloth too much. But then we go to STV. That is a dynamic right there, right? So STV 10-5, pretty crazy. In my opinion, like STV probably should be a little bit higher, but hey, it's STV's is 10-5, so congrats. I mean, you worked your way into making sure that you're a dynamic player on any team that you go to. STV's just good all around. Offense, defense. I definitely see big things for STV. I know Crazy, you're going to talk more on STV. Trixie, right, as an 8-5. Like this team really went pretty in depth here, but I don't know too much about Trixie, right? I can't speak much on Trixie, but I think right here the dark horse, right, is that you can play Sloth and then their biggest dark horse, Muffin Dealer. I do not believe Muffin played in the 2 season last year, but Crazy, if you remember Muffin was fantastic in multiple seasons for us. And that is somebody that I actually wanted on my team. So I'm really excited to see how this team puts it together. And they are, going to the last spot as number 1. Now, I wouldn't say they are the number 1 team. I definitely think we're going to drop them, but top 5 for sure. And I'm really excited to see just how this team plays, because you can go Sloth and STV and Trixie, or you can go Sloth, Muffin Dealer, and Trixie, and you're not going to drop out of the top 5. So Crazy, go ahead, take over.
For this team, I agree, top 5 team for sure. I don't know about number 1. I think we're gonna move them around, but out of the teams we have left, I think number 1's fine for them. I think the question mark for me is Trixie. I have no clue how they play. They're Amp5, so I'm not expecting the greatest performance, but if they can, play up to par, play decent, I think this team will be really good. Muffin Dealer, I remember him a little bit. As you said, in the past seasons, he was a very scary player to play against. From what I remember, not sure about it right now, but he's still a good player. STV, dude, I like STV. I think he's good. I think 10.5, as you said, kind of crazy, but we'll allow it. It's fine. I like how he plays. I like his rotations. His offense is pretty good. Mechanics they're not crazy, but they're there. He has a little some. Defense, not the best, not the worst. I think that's his weakest link, but not that bad. So I like
Definitely not as bad for a Contender, right? If you were to sit there and put like Contender's defense up in there,
he's up there.
Yeah, I'd say for us when we're looking at it, right? Because like you guys are both even higher than me, but I play with both you guys 2s, 3s, right? But I can even sit there and say like look, I mean you guys are, but we've all played together at one point, right? So I'm able to fit in with you guys. I've coached teams much higher than any of the teams that we're actually seeing here, based off just Sal's and stuff. And so when I look at Contender and I see STV and I stack him up against, just defensively, like you said, his weakest link is his defense. But at this level, if I had to rate his defense out of, a 10, I'm giving him a 7, right? And if your 10-5's weakest link is a 7, and that's not including mechanics, just because not most contenders are not mechanics, right? So I just include offense, defense. If you're giving him a 7, I mean, he's dangerous. At a 10-5, that's dangerous. So yeah, I mean, this team's kind of scary a little bit, and they can make a huge splash. Chav, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been playing with STV for like a year, and they are a dog. A 10.5 is crazy. Everything else, I would just be reiterating what you guys kind of just said. So I agree with the top 5. I definitely don't. I'm not sure if they'll be high in the top 5 when it's all said and done, or even midseason. But I think they'll be one of those teams challenging for a playoff spot.
Definitely making the playoffs for sure, especially if they keep this team. The weakest link this team has is Trixie, right? They have to play Trixie either way. Even if you go with Muffin or STV, you have to play Trixie. Is Sloth, as a 12 sal good enough to carry an 8.5 against, other teams that might have, a better makeup? That's my biggest concern there is, is Sloth, is STV, are they able to carry, or is Sloth and Muffin Dealer able to carry an 8.5? An 8.5 is pretty low, and that's pretty hard to do. So, yes, they're at the number 1. Crazy. Go ahead, put them up there. So, guys, we've talked about these teams. We've talked about these players. I mean, we spent a long time, and honestly, I'm enjoying this, right? This is cool. We haven't done this in a very, very long time for URL. But as we see it right now, we've got Vikings, Armada, Phantoms, Cyclones, Bears, Empire, Hounds, Rhythm, Rhinos, Hunters, right? I am not going to lie to you guys. I think the easiest move here is putting the Rhinos at 10. To me, that's the easiest move we go with here. We had them at 9, but I think all the other teams that we talked about are definitely, higher potentially. So we agree at a 9. They're over Sal. We don't know much about them. I think we can put them at 10, for now. So I think that's the first move I would make, is Rhinos down to 10.
I agree with that.
You agree, Crazy? I mean, you're a little bit far away. Hey, that's Mr. Dapper, Amber, and Sussy.
You want to put him at 9?
Well, they're at 9 right now.
Yeah. You're going to put him at 10?
Yeah, I think 10 just for now. It's not final yet because we're going to make a lot of moves here. But I think just to start off with putting them at 10 is a little bit easier, moving Hunters up to 9 at least.
Okay, sure.
Because if we look at the Hunters, right? Let's go back down to the Hunters. They got Florida, Silent, Vizon, Cummins. They have a full team that they can field. We don't know much about them, but their makeup could make a splash. So I think that's just the easiest one. Let's look here, right? So we know that Vikings are not number 1. We said middle of the pack. I think putting them at 6 is a good spot here, just for now. Just because how are they going to play with an 8-5?
Okay.
What do you guys say?
I think that's very fair. I actually had that line drawn at Bears, thinking, because we had Bears at 5.
Right.
I had that line for Vikings drawn. I don't think I can rank Vikings above Bears.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I had it at, was around that 5-6, depending upon how it jumps.
Right.
Like I said, one of those teams is going to be really pushing for that playoff spot.
So I don't think we move Empire just yet, right? I think we keep Vikings right there. And then as we talk about this, so let's go to the Armada real quick, right? So we talk about the Armada. 0.5, Flashy, Hash, Ketchup, Mr. Hitman, Slim. Let's look at the Phantom again.
Is LTR?
Where are they at? LTR, right? Just because they, you have an 11-11 and 10-5, that's going to be, your 32.5. The question just is, he's on the trading blocks, right? They can field this team. I'm right? The 32.5 is what you can field in game, right?
It would be 32.
32. So they can't field this team. So
they're oversold.
They're oversold for in game, just not all the way through. Man, and I think we have to drop the Phantom down here. I think the Phantom have to drop, and let's look at the Empire real quick, right? Let's look at Empire. Empire, they're oversold as well, by 1. Cyclones are oversold. And then the Bears are oversold. So we've got a bunch of teams that are oversold here, but man, that's tough. Because then you go to the Hounds. Yeah,
I think we.
Yeah, right now,
I'm
not.
At not 3, but I think we keep them there. So me personally, the way I'm looking at this, I think we move Armada down somewhere, and then we push everybody from the Bears up.
I agree.
Up to.
So
I totally agree with that.
Let's talk real quick, right? So we're looking at the Cyclone, and again, we're taking Mia down out of this, but they can feel Trippy, Sleepy, and Cool Man. With being able to field a team like that, is it safe to say that they rank higher, and we know that team's good, especially if they're on? That team is a really, really good team. If they're on, can we say that they are higher than, the Phantom because the Phantom can't field them?
I personally think
No.
it's close, but no, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So because LTR, we're giving LTR the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah, it's an LTR buff.
Yeah, if he has,
So what do we do then, right?
He won't.
If we move Armada down,
Yes,
right, and you're saying move all the teams up to, right?
Yes, from Bears up. Yeah. So basically,
that means we're giving LTR number 1.
Yes.
It would look like this. Yes, and then these will go somewhere around here. But yes, I'm fine with that.
Crazy, you're cooking. I wrote this down on a piece of paper, and it's looking identical.
Yeah.
I definitely have the Armada in that 4-5. I personally have them at 4. I think that's a solid roster.
Dude, yeah, the thing I'm looking at this, and I'm kind of like, I'm looking at it, right, and I'm like, okay, well, these teams are oversold.
Yeah, but we're going off with if they could field it.
Right. But at the same time, we've got teams that can field them. Right. And they can field these teams already. So that's like where I'm looking at Armada and I'm like, man, Flashy, Hash, Hitman, that's a dangerous team. And putting them at 4, I just don't know if I feel overly comfortable with that. I feel like because they can field a team week 1 easily, I feel like they're top 3. Because you look at the Bears, right? You got Rigger and Edge. I'm safe to say that Flashy's better than both them. And I definitely think Hash can play just as well as Edge. And Hitman Slim, as a third man, they don't have an actual third man right now. I have the Armada over the Bears. And I think the big reason is because Flashy. I think Flashy's better than Rigger. And that's where, Hash won't have to play. He'll be able to play up to Edge's style. So because Flashy and Hitman and they can field that team, I have them over the Bears.
I completely disagree.
Yeah, same.
I think that I think you're overrating Flash too much, and I think you're underrating Edge too much. I think Edge, if you put those teams into a field, Edge is the best player there, no question for me. I think
I don't
Edge is
know.
better.
Rigger's good too. I do
I
know
think
as far as the
Rigger's good
Bears,
too, but I think Edge is the best player. I think Edge, you can move him up to All-Star and he'll play fine.
as far as the Bears roster is concerned, they are moving Legend to a reserve player spot.
Yeah.
So it's not a
I'm going
simple
with that.
team. They're just still, I believe, trying out for
Right.
their 10 or I believe 9.95.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it currently. I think it might be a 9.
Okay. So hey, I'll go with you guys, right? I'll put them at 4 when I sit there and say, hey guys, I was right. Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all know, because if there's one person that I know that gets coaching consistently, it's Flashy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Flashy is part of URL Esports, and that Armada team will not just be a team that plays every now and then together. Flashy will be able to get Dak and some of the higher players. Like I said, we got top 48. I want to say they're all top 48. I think some of them actually just cracked top 32 in this last open. If they
they did.
really need it, right? If they really need it, they can get one of those guys to come over and show them and teach them. So I think that's also where I think Flashy's connection is going to potentially allow them. So I will say you guys are right. Number 4 is fine with that. I think I have a higher ceiling for them than a lot of the teams, and I want to say almost all the teams, just because Flashy's connection with Dak and being able to actually get this team coached well, I think is dangerous. That connection, even though I have that connection with Dak, it's just not something that I'm always going to sit there and be like, hey Dak, can you come do this, or look over at Manny over there and be like, hey man, like you're top 32 and RLCS, come teach me. But
That Manny, man. I think he was just top like 150 in threes.
yeah.
Oh, that's
Dude,
insane.
our esports team is pretty hype, bro. I'm so excited. I hope they stick together for a while, because they're awesome. And since we're talking about them right now, guys, we will be putting an invitational together to really showcase our esports team. We haven't really been doing it too much, but I love what Dak's doing. I want to give Dak all the flowers that I can for being able to put these teams together. So I want as many eyes on that esports team as possible. Just like I want them on our actual league, but that esports team deserve it. They deserve their flowers. And if you guys don't know who they are, sorry for the little TV timeout real quick. I definitely just want to shout them out because these guys are incredible. We're looking at Manny LR, right? Manny's fantastic. Like you said, I'm pretty sure he's top 150. And he's a grand finalist. Just fantastic. Manny does awesome. And then you got Ramen, right? A lot of people know Ramen. Ramen is a well-known player when you start talking about Bubble and just pros. Like, a lot of people know Ramen. Before he came to our team, I heard of Ramen, right? So just having him on our team's fantastic. Guy's insane, just like Manny. And then you got Antics, right? Antics is a great player. I know one of his best friends very well. Antics definitely. I'm excited to see what he does and if he really commits to this. Because if he does, dude, our URL team will get better and they're going to be amazing. So sorry for that TV timeout. I definitely have to shout them out. And again, all the flowers to Dak for doing what he's doing. Gray Wolf as the assistant general manager for the URL esports team. You guys have done fantastic. I appreciate everything you guys do for us at URL and just, really, throwing that name out there, Ultimate Rocket League. So thank you to you guys, and we'll get back to it, guys. We just had to throw some flowers out. First video coming out on our YouTube. We have to make sure that we include them. So
It's
back to what we're talking about. We got Phantoms at number 1. LTR just taking best twos player. We can't rank anybody right now because we just don't know how they are. We don't have no stats, so we're gonna ride out with that. Then you got the Cyclones, right? There's a lot of ways that this team can make some teams up, and Rye's gonna make sure that happens. definitely have to put Cyclones top 3 because Rye's going to make something happen. The Bears, Edge, Rigger, they can carry an 8-5. This is not like the Vikings, right? Like the Vikings, I'm very skeptic on, but these two I know can carry an 8-5 to still be a top 5 team. So I'm fine with the Ray Armada. We have at 4. You got Flashy, Hash, Mr. Hitman. Too easy. And now we have to get to it, right? This is where I think number 5 comes into play, and I think number 5 is the Rhythm with Chef, Pika, and Tesla. It's another team that I'm confident in that can lead an 8.5 in there. Any disagreements, or anybody think somebody else deserves the 5 spot?
I think that's pretty fair. I'm also, as I'm going through this, I'm starting to realize that I should listen to Henny more because he's actually a contender player.
Yeah.
And I should listen to Crazy when we get to All-Star because he's an All-Star player.
Okay, I don't know about that one. I might have some.
So I'll be
Yeah.
honest, man. I'll be honest. I listen to Crazy's opinion a lot because Crazy sees these guys nonstop. Like he's,
Yeah, exactly.
So when Crazy talks, I'm like, okay, that makes sense, right? I've seen that. I used to cast quite often. So like if you're an older URL player, I tend to know you a lot more than these newer guys, but Crazy knows these newer guys. And so that's like where my opinion is very, I'm comfortable going with what he says. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I can agree with that. If you take what he says with what I know, put them together, it's pretty spot on with each other. So, if you could go ahead. No, go ahead,
I was
Chad.
gonna say, jumping ahead here. I do like the Rhythm at 5 though. I was thinking it was either going to be that Rhythm Vikings, kind of in that space.
Yeah, I agree right there. I think that's actually spot on for both of them. What do you think, Crazy?
I don't know if I rate Rhythm that high currently, if I'm being completely honest. I think they're fine. I don't think they go much higher than maybe 1 where we have them right now. Maybe 2. But I don't think I can put them at 5.
Who do you got at 5?
See, that's hard. See, like I would put Vikings there, but I really don't know about their 8.5. So I don't know how they're gonna do that there. But that's a good team. So for me, it's either Vikings or Empire. I think we're fine with that. But I think Empire just they're just like, I don't know if I could put them that, like Vikings have a higher peak and Empire they don't have that high of a peak. If you get what I'm trying to say.
So they're bad.
So I think honestly, this is
they're just
we're
average.
talking about Vikings, right? STV I think carries the Vikings. But I think when you put like who can carry the 8.5 better? Sloth STV or Sloth Muffin Dealer, right? I think if we give the nod to STV and Muffin Dealer, and this is no knock to Sloth, but like you're really talking about your second man, because your first man is your high Sal, like they should be the best player on the field or on their team, right? So it has to be a carry between STV and Muffin Dealer, right? Are they going to be able to help Sloth more than Pikachu helping Chef carry Tesla? I just don't know much about Tesla, so that's the hard part. So I think here I'm gonna give the knock more to STV and Sloth, or STV and Muffin Dealer, and I'm gonna put them at 5, and then I think you have to put Rhythm at 6, because when we look over at the Empire, right? You said Oki's bringing somebody in, they're fixing that team. But
I'm going off the current roster though. I'm not going off that.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So right now, with them being over and they, not one of those players, I'm like, that's an LTR player, or that's a rigger or an edge, right? So that's why we have the Cyclones, because they can feel the team and it's going to be good. Phantoms have LTR, and then the Bears, they've got rigger, they've got edge, right? Those two guys alone they can carry an 8.5 better than I think Chef and Pikachu, and then Sloth, LT or STV or Muffin. So that's why, they're up there. And then you got a team full of, Flashy and Hitman and Hash, right? They deserve that 4 spot. Like, even though they are a full team, like 4 is really good for them. So I give Vikings the nod at 5. I give Rhythm the nod at 6. That's my opinion here.
Gotcha.
What about you guys? This is hard, right? Now we're coming down to the teams that should be top 5, maybe 6. And there's, really I look at all of them and I'm like, yeah, a lot of these teams could be there. Even the Rhinos, we just don't know much about them. So, like Rhinos, they have a full team. They have a 12, 10, and a 10, right? They could fit at 5 or 6, but we just don't know much about them.
Yeah, I think when you talk about not knowing much about, I don't know Chef personally, but I heard both of you guys speak about Chef, and I know Chef's been important to the league, at least from a team standpoint. So, me not seeing them play, I've seen half the roster play, and I still think they're better than 2 of the teams above them. So, I kind of agree. I mean, if you move Rhythm up to 5, and that kind of pushes everyone back down, you're kind of looking at how it's going to shape out.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm with you if Rhythm 5 or 6, Vikings 5 or 6. Crazy. I mean, it's up to you now. Like, what do you see? We got to get your opinion. We can't just move on ours.
I'll trust you guys on the Rhythm. I don't know much, but I don't know if I can rate them. I think Vikings are fine. I think Sloth is good enough. I don't think they were a good All-Star player, but in Contender, I think they're just fine.
So do we want to give the knock to the Vikings over Rhythm?
That's completely up to y'all. I'll go with whatever y'all say. I think
STV and Muffin Dealer, as a second man, I think they, I might give that knock over Chef. Or not Chef, Pikachu. I think I give Chef the knock over Sloth, though. So I think, because we're talking about second man, I think Vikings over Rhythm.
Well, wouldn't Rhythms have a more complete
They have better
roster?
chemistry.
Wouldn't
They
they
have
a
better
more complete
chemistry.
roster?
Well, their roster's the same, right? They've both hit their Sal.
I mean, if they're that close, you just have to look at the roster and you see that they have a 12, 11, and a 9, and an 8.5 that's more complete than a 10.5, 8.5, and a 12. In my opinion,
I think it's definitely, yeah.
So I think if we're going off that, it would go Rhythm over Vikings.
Okay,
I agree.
But I think by skill, Vikings are better. But if you go by team, then yeah, Rhythm technically are better.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Definitely going Vikings at 5, because I do like STV and Muffin. At Pika at 11, that's where I'm kind of like, does Pika really belong there? I haven't seen Pika play in a while. So I personally, I think we just switch them. I think we go.
You want to go
Vikings 5.
Rhythm?
Yeah, I think so.
Then bump everyone down.
And then we look at Empire, right? Empire's 1 over, and then let's look at the Hounds real quick just to go back over them. They've got 22 tilted, pink, puppy paws, keep fleet, crazy. I'm gonna put the Hounds. I'm putting the Hounds over Empire. I'm putting Hounds at 7.
That's fair.
I think Hounds stay 7 because, like you said, Pink was really excited about Keep Think.
Out of nowhere too. I just remember that so specifically.
So I think we keep them, and it's because Empire is just not a complete team, and there's no one dominating person that I can sit there and say this guy's better than LTR or better than Rigger or Edge. So I definitely see Hounds going up there. I'm not gonna lie, Empires to me are kind of fallen. Like, I think Empires fall even below the Hunter. I think Hunter's move
washed.
No, I wouldn't say it's washed, but Hunter has a Mr. Florida, Silent, and Vizon. And then you even look at the Rhinos, right? The Rhinos have Mr. Dapper, Amber, Sussy. They're over by 5. Again, I just don't see anybody on the Rhinos that are like very dominant, but Hunters have a complete team. We just don't know about them. So I think, putting them at the bottom's not fair. In the bottom 2. So I think putting them at the 8 is fair right now. I think
I like that.
going Empire at 9 is fine, just because there's no dominance from any of those players that I know of, and they are 1 over. And then the Rhinos, again, just no dominance. Don't know all that much about them. And they're 0.5 over. So I think the way we're looking at this is like our top 3 teams over on Sal, but they have dominant players to build from, and you can't argue those guys. And then you look at Armada at a full team. Flashy's fantastic. Hash can play. Like we talked about, like when he gets on defense, he's solid. And then Mr. Hitman at a 9.5 is a little unfair. Then you go to the Vikings. That becomes a who can carry the 8.5 or 9 the best. Is that going to be Vikings or Rhythm? And then the Hounds, right? A good makeup of a team. Just again, don't know much about them. And they do got Tony 2 tilted. Keep Fink could be a sleeper, and then Crazy, right? KRZ might be him. So the Hounds at 7, and then the Hunters, they got a full team makeup. Again, just don't know too much about them. So as we see this shape out, like I definitely see maybe the Hounds and Hunters making a move higher. And then you got the Empire and the Rhinos, right? The Empire's going to pick somebody up, but we can't put them up there. No dominant player on either one of these teams, and they're both over Sal. I'd have to say, I like this. What do you guys think?
I'll let Chap speak first.
Oh boy, that means he's cooking.
Yeah.
Never let Crazy cook. I think this is definitely better than we had it originally. I think it's pretty fair. To be honest with you, I think this is how it. If the rosters don't change much, which obviously is going to happen, if you played the season out, like if it was like an all Madden simulation, I think this could be where it would wind up at the end of the 10-week schedule.
Yeah, I agree with you. Crazy, cook for us real quick.
All right. First of all, I think this is we were good on top, and then we went down, and I was like, what? This is absolutely not correct. I was fine with the Vikings and the Rhythms at 5 and 6. Sure, I'll let it slide. I won't say much about it. But then I heard Hounds, Hunters, Empires, 9. That doesn't add up to me. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Like, you have Tall. Are we just gonna not assume he wasn't a top playing contender for every single season he's been in? Sure, he wasn't number 2, number 1, number 2, number 3, but he was up there every time. He was always drafted first round.
Okay, but let's stack Tall against LTR. How does he fit there?
Again, LTR is number 1 player, number 2 player.
Okay. So now we go to the Cyclones, right? How does he shape up against me?
Again, well, actually, I think it's more closer than you would like to admit, but I would give you the win. But again, I'm not saying they're a 1, 2, or 3 team, and I don't think Empire will beat the 1, 2, or 3 teams. I don't think they're peaking like that. But I definitely don't think that they're gonna lose to the Vikings. I think they can beat the Vikings. I think they can beat Rhythm, and I think they can absolutely beat Hounds. If you're gonna go off players, the Hounds, they only have Crazy. Realistically, the best player is Crazy. So 22 tilted is consistent, sure, but I think Elite beats him in every category. I personally think so. And then Crazy, I think he overextends too much, leaves too much, and I think Tall punishes that so easily. I think the way Tall understands how the field is, I think is way better than most of these contender players, and I think he's gonna punish a lot of these teams.
So you have Empire just moving up in the Hounds, and then we drop down everybody else.
Well, me personally on my list, I have them at 5 or 6. I think they're gonna be Rhythm, and honestly, I think they can be Vikings. I would personally have them 5, but I'm fine with them being at 7 on this list.
I'm not against them going at 7. I mean, the way you're talking about Tall, you're right. Tall is a great player. It's our top 4 teams we put because of the way that the players that they do have, and if they build a team around those players, right, that that they're going to be a top 5 team. And Armada is just a fully functioned team. You know, Flashy's carrying. It's a good, really good makeup of a team, so you can't argue that. And then 5 and 6, you know, they were back and forth. They have a full team. Hounds have a full team. Hunters have a full team. And then it's just like Empire and Rhinos, right? They don't have a full makeup. But I'm not opposed to moving Empire up to 7, but I don't think we can put them above Vikings or Rhythm right now. What do you think, chap?
Fine with that.
Because right now
That's-
your opinion's gonna matter. Because I like what we have here. You know, Crazy might not agree, but that's why we got 3 of us, is to you know, majority rules when we don't have, you know, all around agreements.
I am not wearing the glasses that Crazy's wearing to see Empire jumping that high. But
Okay.
at the same time, I have played with Tall and I've seen that. If anything, I would see them going to 8 only because, like I said, I've seen Mr. Florida play. There are some unknowns on that Hunters roster, like we talked about. I could see that possibly just because you have more knowns for the Empire than you have unknowns to Hunters. But I even moving up to Hounds, I don't know. I think
So let's do
he's got
this
some
then.
glasses on.
Let's do this then. You know, let's meet in the middle here, right? The middle is 8. Let's move Empire to 8. We can drop the Hunters down to 9.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with doing that, but yeah, it's hard for me to throw the Empire all the way up there. So I think for our contender team, I think this is it. Crazy, go ahead and get a screenshot of this real quick.
Gotcha.